What's up, guys? Sub-Zero here, back for another VOD review. If you guys missed it, yesterday was day one of the Project PB Major, and the final day is today. So, once again, if you guys are watching this video and you are watching it around when it comes out, go check the link in the description, go to Kai's Twitch channel, and watch me cast the finals with Kai, with Frodan, with maybe some other special guests. We'll see. We had Demasiad Raptor on yesterday. This guy yapped a lot, but I mean, that's what he's for. The day one was really exciting. These are our final 7 that have advanced along with Kai Wang, who got the bye to day 2, and a ton of fantastic players, a lot of diverse representation here. We got a ton of different regions represented in the final lobby, which should be super exciting. So let's get into today's VOD review. We're going to be watching a blah 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 player who went 5th overall, but I found that blah blah blah's games were the most interesting. A lot of other players were just, spamming the same like 4-cost lines and stuff like that. Blah blah blah, somebody who was really open to go down some interesting paths, which I really liked, because I mean, these are the games I'm gonna VOD review. The games where people decide, oh, I'm not just gonna play some weird like cookie cutter TFT play, exactly what everybody else plays. I'm gonna play something whoosh. So we start off here with a pretty interesting opener. It's a gold opener where already we have the option to make 10 gold, but we also have the double anvils here. So it's a weird situation where people are going to be low item econ from the, just the way that the opener looks, but higher item econ because of the double anvil. Blah 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 does have the opportunity to make a quick 10, but opts to not make it just so that we can hold on to things like the Kog'Maw, things like the Rammus here. So we're just going to hold on to those guys for now. Is going to field the Razorbeak on this board. I think Razorbeak is a unit where my stonks have gone up a lot. I think this unit is very strong, and we would play around that if we did not see the augment that we see here. So we're going to do a quick scout of the lobby. We see not too much craziness going on, and we're going to grab an Unrivaled onto 1. Does have Lost Travelers as an option as well if we have time to pick that up, which would be nice. We're going to grab that. No 3 costs coming out of it, but nothing crazy. But we do get the Rek'Sai too, which helps stabilize the board a lot, and we're going to pop Anvil here. Big thing is getting some slams early, so we get the Edge of Night made immediately for Kha'Zix, and then Bo is going to come down here for, potentially stuff like a Titans down the line. We shall see. So this is going to be our setup. It is going to be an Unrivaled game, and you will see blah 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 makes quite a journey to a wild board this game. I will say in terms of just power strength of this board, you do want to be in these situations where you have these extra components to take advantage of the fact that you just got 2 really strong 3 costs to throw onto your board. That's exactly what blah 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 is doing in this spot. Is we end up making the Edge of Night. It's a little unfortunate that we can't make a double slam here, because obviously we'd love to be as strong as possible and go for the win streak, because that's the other huge thing about Unrivaled, is that you must win as many fights as possible. In the early game, kind of sucks that we lost on 2-1, but this is just a hyper scaling augment. If you win a lot of fights in the early game, you're getting a lot of these Kha'Zix takedowns, which is then turning him into a better champion, giving him more traits, or if Rengar is getting the takedowns, that's giving you more gold that you can fuel back into the comp to hit your 3 stars. It's insanely different consequences wise if you are winning those fights than if you are just say like, oh, okay, well, I won like 2 or 3 fights. This is also a pretty controversial augment. I know there are players, I've heard that Dish Soap really likes this augment and says it's pretty good, and then I know I've heard Wei Iverson say multiple times that he hates this augment. He thinks it just sucks, and so we will see today who is right. Maybe we don't have to make a full judgment in that spot, but we'll get some direction towards there. And we can also, tell me in the comments down below if you guys are Team Dish Soap, this augment is broken, or Team Wei Iverson, this augment sucks. I might be a little bit biased by the game I chose, which is it's going to be a pretty good game for the line, I will say. But honestly, if you look at the opener, it doesn't look amazing just yet. We're actually on a 2-loss here. We have, the fact that we have the early Rek'Sai is really nice, but it doesn't mean that we're actually winning a ton. We're still losing. We do complete the Edge of Night plus Hodge onto Kha'Zix. These are some of the best items onto this guy. Edge of Night in general, great item onto both Kha'Zix and Rengar, because neither of these units naturally have any kind of aggro drop, and they are very often just jumping straight to the back line, as you can see here, and getting themselves killed. Also, Kha'Zix has the possibility of becoming an executioner down the line, so you don't really have to worry about, building spell crit or anything like that. We are going to go for the Ravager pickup here, which I think also kind of gives a little bit of an indication of the direction that we want to go towards with this board is, well, you'll see as we get further into it. But makes sense, especially with the board that we are going to play later, and it's good. It's good on Kha'Zix. It's a ton of extra damage onto this guy, a little bit of extra healing. Obviously, the Executioner would be really nice here, but we don't yet have actually an Executioner to play. It's quite difficult usually on stage 2 to find an Executioner because of the cost structure of the trait. The easiest one to find is Unar, but that's a specific 2 cost. If you don't find that, then you have to find a specific 3 cost, so it's pretty tough. Pretty tough to get early Executioner and Ravager, a lot easier to get in, and makes sense with this board we have here. We could theoretically even play a Rift Beast on level up, so we'll see if that's what blah 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 wants to go for here. So we get out of the stage with an okay spot. We have a good amount of gold, especially after this minion round, 86 HP after losing a few fights, and once again, yeah, the spot is okay. We are going to level up here, get the Warwick in so they get Blackthorn onto this entire board, and just going to throw Zyra in on the board as just a solid +1. And we do have to start thinking about what we're going to build in this situation here. It's interesting. I am not that excited about any slam here because obviously you could make like an even shroud here, but that's only really supporting the Rengar's damage. And Kha'Zix is our main carry right now, so it's actually a little bit awkward. We'd love to see like an item grab bag or something like that as our next augment here. And yeah, we are actually going to look at like another loss here for blah blah blah. So not honestly the best of starts. Solo plate healing orbs, and then forcing a great augment, but we're not that confident that we can play around 4 costs this game, just because of what our original augment is. So not gonna make that up. We do see Golden Dragon, which is a really interesting idea in this comp, and you can see what we have team plannered out here, which is this Elderwood idea with playing the Diana, the LeBlanc, and the Ezreal for the Ravager, the Spellweaver, and the Executioner. So this is blah blah blah's idea, and the other idea is that obviously you can roll for multiple 3 costs when you play this line. It actually seems pretty reasonable for Golden Dragon to be played here because, we could just push level 8. We also don't have to fit every single unit, though we do actually pick up the Ezreal here, which is pretty wild. So yeah, the Golden Dragon is going to end up getting slammed here onto the Rek'Sai, which I do think is a big deal here. The nice thing about this augment is, one, you don't have to be playing, super high like verticals or even super high horizontals in this comp. You don't have to be looking for anything crazy like that. You can just, take this and then play this as a line where you're getting a few extra traits in. And so Golden Dragon, not that big of a downside in this line, and a very big upside because you want a mega tank when you are playing this line. You want such a huge tank that enemy boards just cannot get through it whatsoever. You would really like, say, boom, yeah, this Hecarim to go on the board. The Diana actually ends up coming in as well, and we are going to fit in the entire board here. So beautiful stuff from blah, blah, blah here. And yeah, this is going to be what we play here. So it makes a lot of sense. And the Hecarim is going to be this mega tank. We want a mega tank on this board because of the aforementioned lack of aggro drops for these units. It's really awkward if you have a weak frontline. Even if you're playing one good frontliner and one weak frontliner, the weak frontliner dies and then ends up, allowing your Rengar to take aggro, allowing your Kha'Zix to take aggro. But in this situation, we can just solo frontline the Hecarim. He's going to take aggro first, and he must fall before any of our other units are going to take aggro here, which is really, really, really good news for us. Looking like blah, blah, blah is going to take the glove here with the idea of just finishing out a last item onto the Kha'Zix, I imagine. Not sure what it's going to be yet. It could be like QSS or something. The problem is that we don't really want to kill this cloak because it's our only frontline component. So he's just going to end up making the guard breaker here. Okay, this is a very solid item onto the Kha'Zix in general. Once again, once the Executioner comes in via the evolution, the crit, the ability is going to be able to crit, so the spell crit is going to be really, really, really nice here. And Kaz just jumped around the entire board, hitting a lot of units, doing a lot of casts, so we're going to be proccing this a decent amount. Are rotating into an artifact item, Yi, the static Shiv, so going to take a loss here. It's just Yi tends to be a hard unit to beat here, but we do pick up a big upgrade here in the Executioner Ka and some other upgrades onto our board here. So now we should be pretty strong. Pretty unfortunate that we did lose that fight, dropping down to 6-7 HP in this spot because we really are supposed to be quite strong stage 3. It's kind of rough that we did lose that fight, but hopefully we can at least win the last fight, end the stage close to 70 HP, and in an okay spot HP wise, because we know that as we get further into the game, this comp is going to start to fall off. That's one of the scarier things, is when you get into like stage 5, this line usually is not going to be able to succeed, just because it's a melee carry line, and those melee carries are going to get stuck on big tanks, are not going to be able to just, kill everything. So that's the idea. Hopefully, that is not the case for us, and we'll kind of see as we get going here. But yeah, now that we've finished Kha'Zix items, we have 2 things left to finish, is tank items and Rengar items. We're actually going to bypass these. The idea just being, well, we already have this upgraded Ezreal, and maybe blah 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 is just not that excited about Rengar in general. So we are just going to blue buff the Ezreal here. Going to make Gwynsu's, which is a pretty good item, onto Rengar, and then be stuck here on no slams. I'm kind of surprised we didn't make something like a redemption adaptive here for the Hecarim, just so that we have the items. But I think blah 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 really has his mindset on things like Gargoyle and Warmogs here, and really doesn't want to build much else in this spot, though we are going to end up taking a loss because, our Hecarim's just not tanky enough. So last augment here. Let's see what we can pick up. CB, Call to Chaos, Urfsu, Grab Bag. A lot of very interesting options here. CB pretty hard to take in this spot, and the Call to Chaos makes a ton of sense here. It's either very, very heavy econ or very, very heavy items, and both would be pretty good. And check this out. We get 40 rerolls here in this spot, which is huge for us. It was going to be pretty hard for us to complete our board, but now we have an insane amount of rolls. We can use this to pick up almost everything in this spot here. And you can see, boom, Kha'Zix 3 comes, Hecarim 3 comes, Rengar 3 is very, very close in this situation. So we are just going to roll down with the last few rolls and hit Rengar 3 as well. So, oh my god, the Call to Chaos into the 40 rolls, I feel like has just completely breathed life into our board here. It was looking a little scary now, or prior to that, but now we're looking really, really good. And the other thing is, you don't have to feel bad about dropping super, super low this game, econ-wise, because we have a ton of sources just on our board of units that are going to repair our econ. The Rengar is going to farm, especially on 3 stars, going to be farming 5 gold every time he gets that cash on his rival. And Hecarim, also with the Mogul's Mail, is going to be farming us gold. So we're going to be farming like 6, maybe even 8 gold every single round from just these units that we have onto our board, as long as we're getting the takedowns and the Hecarim is living here. So definitely going to be a nice spot for us to just rebuild our econ, allow ourselves to push levels and get extra units in on the board. Like we talked about, we really don't need that many extra unit slots here. We're pretty happy with just these units and the Golden Dragon here, but there's other stuff that we could get in. 5 costs would be the dream. Stuff like Elune for Lunar, and just for the Elune effect would be good. We can get a rapid fire down the line. Aphelios is actually a really nice idea because he then gives us this rapid fire and Lunar, so that's the idea. Sword ends up being the pickup off Carousel here. Wow, for blah blah blah. It's very interesting because he's just gonna finish the Rengar items and say, who cares about getting to 3 Hecarim items? This guy is a beast in his own. Also, I guess when I said blah blah blah's name, I just thought of something, by the way, just to make it clear. This guy is an EU player. He's a beast from EU. There was a mistake made on one of the graphics that said he was from NA, and I think a lot of people say, well, wait, isn't blah blah blah? I've heard a name that sounds kind of like blah blah blah. Isn't that a high-elo NA player? And a lot of people are mistaking him for bruh, who is completely different person from blah blah blah. So just a little education there about some of our TFT players' names, because there can be some confusion every once in a while. 2 TFT players. There were legit 2 TFT players with the name Lelouch for a long time. Now apparently one of them has become a Riftbound player. So I guess the stronger Lelouch has survived in TFT. But it's a world. It is definitely a world out there with a lot of interesting. TFT players, I will say, they're not. Actually, I can't talk. I can't talk because my name is Sub-Zero Arc. So you know what? I can't really yap about anybody choosing a good or bad name. So anyway, we've carried out the rest of the stage on a win streak. This is the power of just going straight to your 3 stars. I'm sure a Gargoyle will come down here, and then I guess we're gonna have to make Crown Guard here. A little surprised we didn't opt to reforge the bow here and look for something better, but I think blah 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 just prioritizing strongest board in this spot here. Once I have the time to level and get the extra units in and talking about the extra units that we'd play on this board, I said it's kind of up in the air. Blah, blah, blah opts to say that our best in on this board is going to be another Executioner. We're going to play Soraka onto this board here and get 3 Executioner, which is a lot of extra damage. It's bleed damage for this Kha'Zix, which is really, really huge here. And as you can see, when the damage chart comes up, I mean, Kha'Zix, that little true damage portion of Kha'Zix damage, it's like at least like an extra 1,000, maybe 1,500 true damage that we got from just playing Executioner here. So it's a lot. It's a lot of extra damage that you get onto the board. And so we are going to chill with this being our board. Going to move Kha'Zix to the far left here with the hope that maybe he can start like wrapping towards backline here. If he does walk up a little bit, he does have the ability to jump straight into backline, and that's what you really want here. If he gets stuck on the front line, then he gets stuck on the front line a lot of the time, but really just give him some time to start hopping around, and this guy will eventually get onto backline. Also, people playing into this need to make sure that they don't actually spread their backline out too much, which is hilarious because this set normally the issue is so much in the other direction. You really don't want to be in a situation where you are clumping your backline because you're going to get AoE'd by stuff like Ahri, stuff like Elune, stuff like Morgana, stuff like every single unit in the game. I mean, there's so many more that I could name, but versus Kha'Zix, you actually do want to clump here, and hey, this is what this player that we're going to rotate into is doing, clumping up that backline and the front line, so going to be very little isolation damage for the Kha'Zix here. Still, though, our board is just chewing through that front line and is eventually going to get to the back line. Honestly, for Taylor here, a pretty good setup into us, but just power level wise, not quite there, just not strong enough to defeat our board, even with the good position, even with, you know, the fact that we had the Seeker's Arm Guard onto Kale so that she'd be a little bit tanky, but it's just not enough. So Hodge gonna get picked up here for blah, blah, blah. Just another very good healing item in this spot here. Can move this up to Rengar and then move the blue buff down back where it was supposed to go originally onto the Ezreal. So this will be the idea. Do pick up the Ivern here. Really nice unit. And we're going to go for a very quick level 9. This is quite hasty and means we don't even have enough gold to pick up a charm this round unless we opt to, you know, sell the Yi and roll. And yeah, we're playing charmless in this spot, but we do get the Ivern in, which is a double upgrade onto this board. One is it is just strong. Right now we got a grass hex on the front line, I believe, and then just one of the backline hexes. Yeah, it's hard to tell actually with this graphics one. I think it's flower hex is the one on the backline here. It looks a little bit weird on those graphics, but yeah, we have 2 hexes on the board right now, and even a third one gets printed from Ivern. So the one thing is that we just got those hexes for the last round, which is really, really nice. Extra just combat power on the board. The other thing is obviously getting Ivern in faster means that he is going to be able to get more hexes printed. Also, yeah, what unit was that we just killed? That was just a Sivir 2. Beautiful wrap from the Kha'Zix here, and then jumps boom straight to backline. This is why you cannot let Kha'Zix walk up past his own first row, but it's almost impossible to truly allow that without, you know, just going boom, 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 a bunch of frontline units, which is it's really difficult to do. So really nice positioning from blah, 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 allowing Kha'Zix to walk up into the enemy's 4th row and then boom, jump straight to backline. This positioning is looking really nice, honestly. One thing that blah, blah, blah is not doing is this kind of like part the seas positioning that I've definitely talked about in this line before, where you can try to kind of like split up enemy front lines to make it easier to get execution or isolation damage. Looks like he's just not that keen on that positioning idea. Haven't seen too many people do it. I would bet it's something that's going to become more popular later into the set as people just get better at positioning the units. But maybe there's a reason why players aren't that interested in doing this, because obviously Hecarim in the middle, to be fair, with Golden Dragon, you probably do want to get that solo front line and just have everybody aggroing here. Another player who does allow us to have the Kha'Zix walk up. Kha'Zix jumps to the other side actually because of how far he walks up, but right now he's on backline, gets the isolation damage on to the Soraka here and Zyra. Last unit alive almost actually gets a really big comeback here, but is not going to be enough here. We do get the final level up for the Aphelios here, which is really, really huge. We also do have a Loon here. I believe strongest board is just cut the LeBlanc here for a Loon in this spot. You just lose Elderwood, but you gain Attuned onto your board, which is really, really big, and you get another level of Lunar. So I believe that is stronger. The last player for us to fight, by the way, is Voidson, who does clump the board pretty well. And check this out. The extra AoE damage from the Morgana is huge. Also, we have an insane setup on the side of Voidson. Has the Invoker spat. Also, God, this fight is so close, but Diana just barely wins. Oh my God. But yeah, I mean, it's a very good setup from Voidson. Has Invoker spat, has like 3 good spats, I believe. It's like Invoker Vanguard, and one more has the what is the album called? Sweet Treats. Has the Sweet Treats in this spot as well. Oh yeah, Spellweaver spat as well to work with the Alloon. But yeah, has Sweet Treats, which is making the entire board tanky. Just has a disgusting amount of items in general with that Sweet Treats. And so this board is just very, very, very tanky. However, this fight ends up looking a lot better because Kha'Zix is a genius. He ends up executing one of the backliners. And this is what these fights are going to come down to, basically. Every single time is the backline of Voidson going to get assassinated, or is he allowed to clump up enough, allowed to position in a way that makes it really, really tough for the board from blah, blah, blah to get to backline. We do find a Lunar Lux here. Also, check this out. We opt to take Inferno Spat off of the carousel here and then put the cannon in on this board so that we can then get heal cut. I feel like that's such a great idea. Still keeps the 3 Executioner in, but it's huge here. And yeah, the Nidalee unit where we really want to try to have her not get executed. The problem is, I feel like in this situation, maybe Voidson saw that, you know, we lost the last fight, so we need to swap something up, but he is now kind of splitting his backline, which makes it very, very hard for him to get the extra, you know, ability to not be isolated here. Also, Lux 2 comes down for blah, 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 which is a huge upgrade as well. Now we're up to 4 Lunar on this board, ton of stats, and also just a really, really good unit in general. Getting that vulnerable on the entire enemy board is huge, and Kha'Zix, in 1 second, just jumps onto the Nidalee, absolutely one-taps her, makes a light work of this board, and it is a dub for blah, blah, blah. So, crazy game, really, really beautifully played, showing the power of this board. If you do reach the max cap of it, it can absolutely win out. So, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, as usual, like, comment, and subscribe. Check out my Twitch, my Metafy, and Kai Watanabe's Twitch down in the links below. And I will see you guys for the Project PB Major Finals and for the next video. Bye-bye.